What if I told you that the most dangerous part of an abusive relationship isn't the violence itself? It's the fact that when the abuse ends for a moment, the love comes rushing back. And that's what keeps people trapped again and again. This is one of those questions people whisper when they think no one is listening. If it was really that bad, why didn't they just leave? But this question misses everything. Because staying with an abuser isn't about weakness or poor judgment. It's about fear, survival, manipulation, and trauma, layered over months or even years. And today, we're going to break it down. It usually begins with tension. You start feeling like something's wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. The abuser becomes cold, snappy, maybe even explosive over the smallest things. Then one day it escalates. There's yelling, threats, or worse. And the victim is terrified. But strangely, after that storm comes the calm. Now they're crying, saying they're sorry, saying it will never happen again. And because there's still love there, the victim believes it. This leads to what psychologists call the honeymoon phase. Everything feels warm and soft again. There are apologies, gifts, promises. And just when you start thinking maybe this was just a rough patch, the cycle begins again. Over time, the victim isn't just surviving abuse, they're surviving hope. And that can be even more addicting. The longer someone stays in that cycle, the harder it becomes to recognize what's real. This is where gaslighting comes in. It's not just lying. It's the constant manipulation that makes you question your memory, your instincts, even your sanity. You start thinking, maybe I overreacted, or maybe I did push them too far. And once that doubt sets in, it becomes easier for the abuser to tighten control. And then there's trauma bonding. It's a real psychological response that happens when your brain associates love with pain. When fear and affection get wired together, the relationship starts to feel like a drug. You chase the good moments, hoping they'll outweigh the bad. And when they don't, you blame yourself for not trying harder. Now imagine, despite all of this, you decide to leave. That's when things get even more dangerous. Studies show that a victim is most likely to be killed by their abuser when they try to leave. So they stay, because survival sometimes looks like silence. For others, the trap is financial. They don't have access to money, or they've been cut off from work. Some have children, and they fear what leaving might do to them. And then there's isolation. Abusers often push friends and family away slowly, making the victim emotionally and physically dependent. At some point, you start believing that no one would help you even if you did reach out. So it's not just about fear, it's about exhaustion. It's about being too drained to rebuild a life from scratch. And when you're living in constant survival mode, escape can feel impossible. This is why that question, why didn't they leave, misses the point completely. Because in many cases, they tried. Maybe they left and came back. Maybe they never got the chance. Maybe they're planning it right now. The better question is, what can we do to make leaving safer, easier, and without judgment? Because when we shift from blaming to understanding, we create space for victims to be believed. And sometimes, that belief is the very thing that saves them. If you found this video valuable or eye-opening, leave a comment below. Let me know if you'd like a follow-up video about how abusers isolate their victims, or how trauma bonding really works. And if you want more content about hidden systems, misunderstood psychology, and the parts of the human experience that don't make headlines, subscribe to Covert Briefings, because some truths are quiet until someone says them out loud.